wonders, oh wonders of the world. So many wonders to behold. So many questions in my mind. So many questions, so little time. Answers don't so easily come unless you know to ask someone who is a master of the trade. Ask them how clouds get their shape. Welcome to What the Heck Is That with David Ventura. Hi everyone and welcome back. We are about to jump back into my interview with Sarah Lonsert. If you have not seen the first part, then go back and watch it first. What kinds of music do you listen to daily, and what is your favorite music to listen to?
Okay. In your car, you can have you can hook up your phone and your iPod, and we have a rule whenever we're hanging out that we don't listen to mine because my phone is just full of music from like I have some heavy metal on there. I have some electronic dance music. I have standard pop. I have some classical arias. I have symphonies. I have fun parody songs. I have so many things on my iPod. I just love music in general, and if something speaks to me, it doesn't really matter what the genre. I will put it on my iPod. So I just have this huge variety of music on my iPod, and that's why we don't listen to my music because we never know what's going to come on if we shuffle it. Heck, I have so many foreign songs on my iPod too. I have some Hebrew, Spanish. I think I have some Russian on there too. Like I have crazy amounts of music from all over the world. But my personal favorites that I always listen to, no matter what, I really love Celtic music. And I don't know why. But I really have always just been drawn to the aesthetic and the sound of Celtic music. In fact, when I'm studying um and I'm actually like doing papers that take a while, I will put on Celtic music to help me focus and study. So but yeah, it's something very strange, but my favorite thing to listen to on my iPod is definitely my Celtic music. I'll put that on first and then let the shuffle do its thing and I'll be like, "Ah, yes. We went from Celtic to Queen of the Night aria and then we went to I don't know, like a Weird Al Yankovic, and like it gets crazy real fast.
I think that people who like all kinds of music make the best musicians.
They do. I actually one of my biggest pet peeves with musicians in general, no matter what they do, whether it's pop, classical, or musical theater, is that they just listen to what they perform, and I'm like, how are you I guess a great way to say this would be it's important for musicians to step outside their bubble. I'm not saying perform other things that they're not comfortable with, but at least be aware that they exist and why they mean so much to people. Like that genre wouldn't exist if a lot of people didn't put meaning into it. So like be aware of all of the different genres and you know, at least the genres that speak to you and at least listen to things outside of what you're a professional in because I just personally think it makes you a much more well-rounded musician and also it helps your performance. It really does. Like if you can speak to if you're a pop musician and you can speak to a classical singer or a classical musician, like you're doing your job even better. You are reaching you're helping music reach more people. And vice versa. If you're a classical singer and you can help reach a pop singer, it's great. Like it's I'm not saying to change anything. It's just to be aware and to understand like why certain genres of music are so amazing and so addictive for other people. So just to keep yourself aware and not get trapped in your own little bubble, as you said, because that's when you get stale, and that's when you get like those like, yes, I understand all about my genre of music, and it's like, okay, well, cool, like just broaden your horizons a little bit. Maybe not go as crazy as some people like my iPod, but definitely just a little bit.
Can you tell us or perform for us some of the different genres of music you perform and explain the differences in your trading and singing? Do you have to breathe differently or use your head voice versus your chest voice?
Yeah, okay. So, okay, now I have to. All right. Yes, I would love to kind of give you and I'll sing for you a whole song later, but just to give you like a little bit of snippets. The three main genres that I perform are pop, musical theater, and opera. Um and absolutely, they all require different techniques. Some songs actually are very similar to each other. Like there are some classical musical theater songs like I Could Have Danced All Night that use a lot of the same techniques that opera uses, so I don't really have to worry too much about that. But there's also some musical theater songs like All That Jazz that use a lot of pop techniques. So um it's kind of interesting how these genres can overlap. But yeah, I do use different vocal techniques for each individual song that I sing. But the main thing that I do is I always make sure to have good breath support because as stupid as it sounds, everything vocally comes from your breath. Um, so if you don't have a good support system, good breathing, then you're sunk. You're not going to be able to sing any genre of music. So that's always really important to have like a really good support no matter what. And I do sometimes use a lot of support for some pop songs, very crazily enough. But for like let's say for a pop song, let's see. What is I mean you asked for some Billie Jean the other day on my stream. So that would be like Billie Jean is not my lover. She's just a girl. Said that I am the one. So you could kind of hear it was kind of a little pinched, a little bit more forward. Like Billie Jean is not my lover, very forward in the mouth. And then when I get to say that I am the one, like it goes a little bit more vertical into a more musical theater space. So for pop songs, it's they're a little bit more in the mouth, a little bit more forward. Um, and but still having the nice support. And for musical theater, it really does depend on what musical theater song I'm doing. So if I'm doing like if I'm doing all that jazz, like and all that jazz, I'm gonna rouge my knees and roll my stockings down. Like you can hear it's very forward, just like pop. But if I'm gonna do a different musical theater song, like heck, let's say Think of Me. Like think of me fondly when we've said goodbye. That's very operatic. And if we wanted to do a little bit of in between, heck, we could do Memory from Cats. Memory all alone in the moonlight. Like you can kind of hear there's a little bit more forward, but it still has the classical space. So you can kind of mix the two. And then you could go into full opera territory, which is very there's a lot of technique that goes into opera. I'm super simplifying this, but for opera, there's a lot that goes into it. Gosh, let's see what it, like for one of my favorite arias is Quantum and Vo, which is When I Walk Down the Streets from La Boheme, which you might know as the musical Rent, because the musical Rent was very much influenced from La Boheme. So clear all of that space. And even then, I think my teacher would say that that was too much in my mouth, and I needed to be a little bit more in the verticalness of my head. So yeah, it there are different techniques, especially depending on which song I'm singing. So sometimes on quarantine karaoke, when people request, like if we're doing a musical theater night, I kind of know where I'm supposed to be the majority of the time in my technique. And then when people will request, like, oh, I want you to do like Big Black Horse and a Cherry Tree, and it's like a pop song, and I'm just like, I can't refuse requests on my stream, but it is very difficult to be like, okay, cool, immediate switch into pop technique and then go back to musical theater. It is a little bit of a brain shift, but I can do it and I'm happy to do it on my stream because that's just kind of the gig. And I love doing it. But there are definitely times on my stream where I'll see requests and I'll be like, I'll do that tomorrow. I can't really, like, I need to go record opera after this, and I can't really live in my pop area for too long because, you know, going and doing a recording for opera, to live in a technique for so long, it kind of gets really difficult to have the perfect classical technique after you've been living in pop for an hour. so so yeah, there are very different techniques involved, but all of that is mostly gymnastics that happens in my head and in my body, which is kind of what makes it really fun for me, to sing all three of the genres. So it's really really fun.
That is impressive. I really like the way you explain the different brief and your voices you used. I can tell that you take care of your voice. It always sounds so great.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm a really big stickler about my voice. In fact, every single night after quarantine karaoke, I I make myself a huge cup of tea and I really try to not be like shouty or big, like I talk like this after my streams. Mostly because I am very conscious of my voice, and yeah, I try very hard to take care of my voice because of all the training I've gone through to really try and master pop, musical theater, and opera. And I say master because I hope I never master them. I hope that I'm constantly, till the day I die, I hope that I'm still learning and figuring out how to do these techniques better. So that's why I say master in air quotes, because I hope that I am constantly learning until the day I die. Um, but yeah, I definitely do try to take very good care of my voice, which can be really annoying for my family because a couple months ago we had these fires in Orange County, and I demanded that all of the windows were closed, that we had the air conditioning running, or not the air conditioning, but we had the fan going, to just keep the air circulating. I locked myself in my room to have my humidifier on, and I was such a pain in the butt, like, for those couple weeks, because I was like, look, smoke bad, and I am not gonna risk this, and you're all living with me, and I'm super sorry, but this is how it's gotta be. And I felt really bad about it, but it was a couple weeks out of their lives, and when the fires ended, I was like, okay, now we can go back to normal.
Has being on the autism spectrum affected your experience as a musician?
Short answer is yes. Um, but that's not a bad thing. Because I know that there's a huge change with how people address autism. Like, do we use person first language or whatever the heck? As somebody with autism, I don't really mind the type of language that you use to address me, or my, I guess I could call it a disability, but I don't really view it as a disability because autism is who I am. I wouldn't be Sarah without my autism, and I really view my autism as without it, I wouldn't be able to understand music the way I do. I mentioned earlier that as a young child, that music really spoke to me, and I literally feel like music is one of those things that I can listen to and have a conversation with because I understand it, and I can't really explain it well, but I do attribute that to my autism. I attribute that to the way that my brain is wired, and I go like, you know what? Maybe the reason that I can memorize so quickly, that I can understand the music, that I understand what the composer's intentions were, blah 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 blah. Maybe that is because of my autism, and I have just learned to embrace it from a young age, that I'm just like, yeah, this is me, this is how I perceive the world, and this is how music speaks to me. And because music speaks to me so loudly and so clearly, um I do my best to try and give back to it and try to express it in the way that other people can understand it, the way that I hear it, and the way that the music wants to be interpreted in my mind and in my ears. So yes, autism has greatly affected me as a musician, but none of it is a bad thing. In fact, I will go as far as to say that I wouldn't be the musician I am without my autism, and I am extremely grateful for it. And I know a lot of people. We were actually just driving through Texas a couple months ago, and we we saw like a sign that was like "Cure for Autism," and I was like, "Oh no, that sounds horrible." And because I couldn't imagine myself without it, and autism is me, and I am my autism. And of course autism looks different for everyone, but my autism is just who I am, and I wouldn't be Sarah, I wouldn't be the musician I am without it, because it helps me tremendously. Does it affect me in horror, and not horrible, but in bad ways? Like, of course it does, of course it does, but in terms of being a musician, it only gives me positive things. And the things that I need to work on, like social skills or interacting in crowds, and meltdowns and all of that stuff, like that's stuff that also makes me. But when it comes to music, autism only gives me positives, and it really does make me the musician that I am, and I'm very, very thankful for it.
I love that you are strengthened in your musicianship by the things that make you who you are.
I think it's important for no matter what you do in life, like whether you're an artist or whether you're building skyscrapers, to be honest with what makes you you, and what makes you special in what you've chosen to do with life. Because I feel like a lot of us are either too humble about it, or are afraid of it, or just haven't discovered it. And I feel like once you figure it out, like once you figure out like what makes you you, to own it, and to really live with it, and be proud of it. And obviously not in a mean or a selfish way, but just to be proud of who you are and what makes you you. And there could be multiple things. Like, I'm not saying that autism is the only thing that makes me. No, of course not. But I do know that it is one component of what makes me, and I am not afraid to be proud of it. I'm not afraid to own it. I'm not afraid to say like, yeah, that's a part of me, and I love it. And I feel like more people need to do that. Um, More people try to fit in with what society wants of them, and it's like, no, like once you figure out like you, be proud of who you are in a very nice way. Like, don't be a jerk about it, but be proud of who you are once you figure it out, because it's different for everyone.
I love that. So I hear you just won a Grammy. Tell us all about it. What an honor.
It is a huge honor. So this is actually really funny because I have been on the Grammy committee. I recently just got off the Grammy committee about a couple years ago, but all throughout my teenagehood and my super young adult life, like my early 20s, I um I was on the Grammy committee and I was trying desperately to win a Grammy with my original songs or blah 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 blah, whatever you wanted to do, whatever you wanted to call it. And I just find it really funny that like the moment that I'm off the Grammy committee and I'm not worried about that and I'm just like, yep, this is music is taking me places and I don't have time to devote to this anymore. Like the moment that I'm not thinking about it, I end up winning a Grammy. And the funny thing is that um, this Grammy came from a recording that the LA Master Chorale did with the LA Philharmonic with Gustavo Dudamel. And we did an Ives symphony where we were singing on the first movements of this Ives symphony. And it is a beautiful symphony, absolutely gorgeous. But I will be honest, it is obvious it was not the hardest piece of music I've ever sang. I think that has to go to the honor of like Mahler 8. But it was a relatively easy piece of music to sing. Of course, when I say easy, there's so many nuances that go into choral singing that it's mind blowing. So even like the easiest piece of music, you have to think really hard and be connected to all of the singers around you and to the conductor. So when I say easy, take that with a real grain of salt. Um, but that being said, I had a really great time on that concert, and I remember them telling us right as the lights were going down that this performance was going to be recorded, and I was like, cool, awesome sauce, no big deal. So we sing, I have a great time. I go with my friends, and then I left, and that was it. And then we just had an amazing performance, really moving. Like I was having a really great time. Was being moved with the orchestra and with my fellow choir members. And Gustavo is just incredible, and everyone knows this, so there's nothing I can add to his amazingness. But it was another day in the office, quote unquote, where we made music, we performed, and that was it. And I didn't really think very much about the recording. And then I get notified on Facebook being like, "Oh yeah, no, that recording that you kind of didn't think anything about, and you were just performing and giving 110% to the performance and trying to move the audience and all the stuff. Yeah, that recording, the LA Phil submitted it to the Grammys and ended up winning a Grammy." And I'm like, "Wait, so I won a Grammy? Are you kidding me?" So it was very very fun where I was just like, I can't believe that just like going into like that one announcement that I didn't pay any attention to, because I was so focused on Gustavo and my fellow musicians and the audience because I wanted them to hear and experience the music. Like that one announcement that I paid no attention to was actually really important, because it told me a long time ago, like, hey, this recording is gonna win you a Grammy. So it's very humbling, very funny, and yeah, it is such an honor, and I'm so grateful that I got to have that experience at the LA Master Chorale and Gustavo and um oh my gosh, all those amazing musicians. So it's still a surreal for me, as you can kind of see, where it's like I can't believe this happened.
That must be such an honor. Congratulations.
Thank you, David. Yeah, it is a huge honor. And thank you so much. I wish I was recording like on my phone, like just like a little selfie thing, like my reaction when I found out, because I was like, I'm really bad at taking pictures and doing selfies, but like that's just definitely one of those moments that because I remember being here on my computer and I was like, wait, what? Like just completely like in shock and awe. And I was like, are you kidding me? So definitely a huge honor, and thank you so much. I very much appreciate it.
Sarah, I can hardly believe everything that you have done in your career so far. I can't wait to see all that you continue to do. Thank you so much for sharing all of that with us.
Well, thank you, David, for inviting me to be here. It really has been just an absolute joy and honor to get to know you, to really spend time and have such a great experience. So thank you so much um for this show and for inviting me and just, making me smile today. So thank you so very much for all that you do. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, get ready for a special treat. Hold on to your heart or anything else that might fly away. Sarah is about to take us on a musical journey where we can all defy gravity. Lights, camera, action! I decided to sing some Defying Gravity for you and your what the heck is that crowd. And Defying Gravity is from the musical Wicked. And the reason I decided to sing this for you is really because this is such a special song to me, because I remember seeing this when I was, gosh, I was about 15 years old. I was in the middle of therapy for my autism, and I remember seeing this at the Pantages Theater in California, and I just was blown away by this song. The fact that she was saying, nothing's gonna hold me down. Doesn't matter what anybody throws at me. I'm gonna just defy gravity, and I'm gonna go after what I believe is right and what I want. And I was just so blown away by that message. And I had to sing it. It just, something inside me compelled me to sing it because of how much it meant to me. Especially as somebody on the autism spectrum, it was so moving that no matter what life was going to throw against her, she was going to defy gravity and go off and fly. And so yeah, so this song has a lot of meaning to me. Um, so yes, I hope you enjoy some Defying Gravity from the musical Wicked. Something has changed within me. Something is not the same. I'm through with playing by the rules of someone else's game. Too late for second guessing. Too late to go back to sleep. It's time to trust my instincts. Close my eyes and leave. It's time to try defying gravity. I think I'll try defying gravity, and you can't pull me down. I'm through accepting limits, 'cause someone says they're so. Some things I cannot change, but till I try, I'll never know. Too long I've been afraid of losing love, I guess I've lost. Well, if that's love, it comes at much too high a cost. I'd sooner
kiss me goodbye. I'm defying gravity, and you can't pull me down. So if you can't find me, look to the western sky. As someone told me lately, everyone deserves a chance to fly. And if I'm flying solo, at least I'm flying free. To those who ground me, take a message back from me. Tell them how I'm defying gravity, flying so high. I'm defying gravity, and soon I'll match them in renown. Nobody in all of Oz, no wizard that there is or was, is ever gonna bring me down. Oh,
Thank you, everyone, for tuning in, and I hope you come back soon for another episode of What the Heck Is That with David Ventura. What the heck is that? Wonders, oh wonders of the world. So many wonders to behold. So many questions in my mind. So many questions, so little time. Answers don't so easily come unless you know to ask someone who is a master of the trade. Ask them how clouds get their shape. Welcome to What the Heck Is That with David Ventura.